Iran's once invisible grip is fading, as Iraqi militias begin to go rogue on the ground. With the Ghost Command collapsing, the big question now is, who really controls the guns? As the IRGC's dark network fractures, US bases in the region are increasingly haunted by rogue forces. The US now finds itself in the very heart of Iraq's hidden storm, facing threats from all directions. Amid rising attacks, Iran's IRGC reportedly lost control over Iraqi militias, according to the war zone. Iran's grip weakened significantly as sustained military operations damaged its command structure and leadership capabilities. A former US Special Operations member said militias were now acting independently across Iraq's volatile security landscape. Groups like Kataib Hezbollah had previously operated under strict IRGC control, receiving funding, weapons, and direction. For years, the IRGC kept these militias in check, preventing escalations against US and coalition targets. However, recent damage to IRGC leadership unleashed the shackles, allowing these armed groups to act on their own. Attacks on US interests surged sharply as Tehran's ability to control its proxy groups steadily eroded. The shift was linked to Operation Epic Fury, which weakened Iran's regional military coordination significantly. Militias reportedly increased strikes on bases, embassies, and coalition infrastructure across Iraq in recent weeks. A former operator described the situation as chaotic, with armed groups no longer following central directives. This escalation also came as Iran's tallest bridge was destroyed in US-Israel strikes on April 2nd. Donald Trump slammed Iran as a fanatical regime chanting threats against America and Israel for decades.
Tonight I want to provide an update on the tremendous progress our warriors have made in Iran and discuss why Operation Epic Fury is necessary for the safety of America and the security of the free world. From the very first day I announced my campaign for president in 2015, I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This fanatical regime has been chanting death to America, death to Israel for 47 years. Their proxies were behind the murder of 241 Americans in the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, the slaughter of hundreds of our service members with roadside bombs. They were involved in the attack on the USS Cole, and they carried out the countless other heinous acts, including the just horrible, bloody atrocities of October 7th in Israel, something that most people have never seen anything like it. This murderous regime also recently killed 45,000 of their own people who were protesting in Iran. 45,000 dead. For these terrorists to have nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. The most violent and thuggish regime on earth would be free to carry out their campaigns of terror, coercion, conquest, and mass murder from behind a nuclear shield. I will never let that happen, and neither should any of our past presidents. This situation has been going on for 47 years and should have been handled long before I arrived in office. I did many things during my 2 terms in office to stop the quest for nuclear weapons by Iran first, and perhaps most importantly, I killed General Qasem Soleimani in my first term. He was an evil genius, brilliant person, a horrible human being, however, the father of the roadside bomb, and he lived just horrible what he did. Iran would have been perhaps in far better, stronger position. Had he lived, we would have had probably a different conversation tonight. But you know what? We'd still be winning and winning big.
The US Embassy in Baghdad has reportedly warned of imminent militia attacks within the next 24 to 48 hours. Iran-aligned groups are believed to be preparing strikes on US infrastructure and even civilian locations across Iraq. One of the most alarming incidents was the recent kidnapping of US journalist Shelly Kittleson in Baghdad. Officials say Iraqi forces have arrested one suspect and are actively pursuing others linked to the abduction. Militias are now deploying advanced weapons, including drones and missiles, further complicating US and Iraqi defense systems. Key American sites, including the Victory Base Complex and sensitive embassy radar installations, have also been hit by drone attacks. In response, US forces have launched retaliatory strikes, with a 10 aircraft carrying out operations against militia positions inside Iraq. According to reports, more than 300 US troops have been wounded since the start of Operation Epic Fury. Washington has now offered rewards of up to $3 million for information on attacks targeting its diplomatic facilities. Yet despite the spike in violence, these militias are suffering from dwindling Iranian funding, raising serious questions about how long they can sustain their campaign.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.